Hello YouTube friends, and welcome to this second entry of the Thoughtful Knitter video journal. My name's Ailey and I'm coming to you from the very far north of Scotland. It's really nice to have you with me, and if you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, because this is my second video, hello, so nice to see you again. Yeah, I'm not going to go on too much about releasing my first video yet. I'll talk about that later on. There's an introduction video already up on my channel which will give you a bit of background about what these videos are all about. Unfortunately the sound quality is not the best. You'll have to turn your device right up to the max to hear it, and sadly there's nothing I can do about it. In my haste to maintain storage space in my very ancient laptop, I deleted all the files as soon as I'd uploaded it, so I've got no way of re-editing or adjusting volume, so I'm really sorry about that, but hopefully it'll give you a bit more of an idea about my vision for this project. I'm a bit overtired and bleary-eyed today, so we'll see how coherent this is, but I'm just going to start off the way I should have done in the last episode, which is to tell you how you can follow along online. There is an Instagram account for the Thoughtful Knitter, so it's just the Thoughtful Knitter, and you can also find my own account, my own Knitstagram, and that is caithnis.lassagie. You probably won't be able to spell that, but all the details will be down in the description box below. So yes, I should have done that last time, and thankfully some of you found me, so that's great. The reason I am bleary-eyed is that my sister was having her baby yesterday, and she is way down in Inverness, which is over 100 miles away, and I was rather frantically pacing the place with a mixture of, well, adrenaline between worry and excitement, but all is fine. She had a little girl, which I'm delighted about. I've got 3 nephews already from my sister and my brother, so it's really lovely to have a little girl in the family. I'm just really hoping I can meet her soon. I want to smell her head. Anyway, so that's the reason I'm a bit tired, but I needed to record because I have been prolific on the baby knits and I wanted to share my projects with you before they're all parcelled up and handed over. So let's get into the content and start off with what I'm wearing. I think pretty much everybody and their granny knows what pattern this is. This is the Ranunculus by Hiros Midori. It's always in the top patterns, hot right now patterns on Ravelry. This is my third one, and I am holding Selma of the Little Big Knits podcast and also Selma Knits on Instagram. I'm holding her entirely responsible. I didn't ever really like the Ranunculus pattern when it first came out, and it wasn't until I saw Selma's lovely, her first one, I think it's a beautiful mauvey purple, and it was beautiful, and I just thought, oh, this is what it can look like. So yes, once I saw Selma's beautiful Ranunculus, I thought, oh, I might try that for myself, and once you knit one, you can't stop at one because it's a really versatile pattern. You can have long sleeves, you can have short sleeves, you can have 3/4 length sleeves, you can have it oversized, you can have it in loads of different weights of yarns. So I knit my first one, I think it was January 2020. I knit my second one that summer, last summer, and wasn't really planning another one. But then Selma started her was it Ranunculus Love Cal? I'll put the hashtag on the screen. And I got a bit overexcited again and cast on another one. So this is a kind of summer one, although it does have wool and it is probably double knit. But like I said last time, Scotland, the far north of Scotland in summer is not a warm place, so it is perfect for our climate. So I'll just tell you a little bit more about it. I knit it in 2 light fingering weight yarns held together. One is Cascade 220 fingering in the colourway Midnight, and the other is Lithuanian Linen in the colourway Peacock. And the colour never ever comes up on screen. It blows out like this and goes really blue, or it just kind of gets really dark. It's actually a beautiful deep tealy kind of colour, and when you see it in real life, the linen shines through. It's beautiful. It's got almost a shimmery effect to it. The only thing I would say about my yarn choices is this is my first time working with Cascade 220 fingering, and by jingo it pills really quickly. Like, I think I had it on, after it was finished blocked, I had it on for possibly an hour and already had pills forming, which is frustrating, but thankfully it's not too bad. I think the linen is maybe keeping it in check a bit. My camera just cut out for some reason. I was going to push the camera back and let you have a quick look, but I realised that the light is going to mean that it'll really blow out. So what I might do is just kind of hover above this seat instead to let you see. But I've already told you the yarn details. I knit it on a tighter gauge. I knit this with a 6mm needle, and I'm actually quite a tight knitter, so I think to get gauge I probably would have had to go up to 7.5. So yeah, it's a lot tighter gauge, which I like. I prefer this opaque kind of fabric that I got this time, and yeah, it's really comfortable to wear. So everyone knows the lovely yoke, and right, let's see if I can do this. Yes. I'm trying not to speak when my face is away from the camera in case anyone is lip reading. I have a friend who's deaf and she lip reads, so I know that quite a few folk do. Yeah, so it's a bit longer than the pattern calls for. I added, I think, 3 inches extra before I started the rib, so that means I knit 11 inches before I started the bottom rib, and the sleeves are 3/4 length, and I did the I-cord, kind of cinched in a tiny bit and did the I-cord. I think that's all my modifications. Let me check. Yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoy this one. It's just a shame I can't get it to show properly on camera, the colour, but hey ho. Yeah, so I won't speak too much more about it because I think every knitting video in existence talks about the ranunculus, and you're probably all heard plenty other people talk about how the construction goes, but like others, I've found it addictive. It's a really quick knit. It's a nice kind of in between big projects knit, instead of like firing out a hat or a baby knit or something. It's a lovely one. So yeah. So let's get on to finished objects, which is the main reason I'm recording. These are the knits that I made for my little niece. So we didn't know what sex the baby was going to be, so I made sure that they were completely unisex. And also I'm not a massive fan of kind of girly colours, neither's my sister, so So it's great. It meant that I could choose quite a, well, you'll probably see that it's a palette I really enjoy anyway. But this is the first one. This is the Knewling Sweater by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boyland Knitworks. And I knit it with, I'll go right to the front so you can have a wee look. So I knit this in Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino, which is probably my favourite yarn for baby knits because it's got a tiny bit of nylon in it, which gives it strength. It's also superwash, so it's, I mean, what new mother can be bothered looking after wool, especially if they're not a knitter themselves. So I quite often choose it for baby knits. The colours that I chose were Clotted Cream. I had that as a leftover from a blanket that I made for my niece's older brother and also my brother's youngest boy. So yeah, this is Clotted Cream. The darker one is Teal and the lighter one is Citrus. And the little buttons, I don't know if you can see those, are tiny little tortoises, which I love. They came from the Textile Garden, which has brilliant buttons. I love it. You could spend a long time looking at buttons on there. So the reason I put on tortoises is that my sister and her family have a pet tortoise, so I thought it went perfectly with the colours and also would mean something to her. So the details for that are that I knit got my notes, I knit the 12 months age pattern. I used 4mm needles and 3.5mm for the rib, and yeah, that's it. I didn't make any modifications that I can remember. It's got a lovely, the buttons open here so that there's plenty of space for the baby's head, and yeah, it's very, very cute. So that's number one. I got a bit overexcited. So there are only 3. It's not as bad as it could be. So the second one is the Miel, which is by Froganette. Colour's not showing very well, it's kind of blowing out a bit. It's a deep kind of gold colour. The colour is golden yellow. And it's a cardigan. It's got this lovely kind of asymmetrical shape. The wee buttons are bumblebees. I think they came from Hobbycraft. I've seen these buttons in quite a lot of different shops. I think they're quite widely available. Hobbycraft is like our big, I think it's the only big craft shop that we have, chain craft shop in the UK. Our nearest one is Inverness. So yeah, that's where that came from. I knit, the wool I used was Cascade 220 Superwash Merino. Again, I went for the Superwash and something quite soft, so hopefully that'll do. This is meant to be a size 0 to 3 months, but it's about the same size as this one, so I don't really believe that it's going to be 0 to 3 months. It looks more like a kind of 9 to 12 months or something. I knit that on 4.5mm needle and 3.75 for the garter stitch ribbon. This one you really have to block it out because this garter stitch section kind of squeezes right up, so when you're blocking you have to pull that right down. Yeah, so that's really pretty too. And then the final one is one that I think a lot of people will be familiar with. Baby Tree of Life Throw by Nicky Epstein. It's a Lion Brand Yarns free pattern. There seem to be a lot of projects on Ravelry. I initially saw this pattern about 5 years ago when one of my good friends had her wee girl and her mum knit it for her, and since then I've been thinking, oh, I'd love to knit that. So I eventually tracked down the pattern and started. So this is the finished object, which is still wet. So here we go. I'll just do a sweep up so you can see it all. I don't know, I couldn't see what you could see, but yes, there it is. So I kind of made hard work for myself with this one. I started off as per pattern because it has an applied border. So I started off here and knitted this section, and then I came to this kind of bit and thought, I didn't really I started looking at people's projects and I didn't particularly like the original design for that centre section. So sorry, that was catching my eye. So I had a look at other people's projects and saw quite a few had this beautiful travelling diamonds. So I then looked and found this kind of additional pattern, also free, called the Travelling Double Diamonds Tree of Life Baby Throw by Marlene Dysert, the Detroit knitter. And I liked that, so I did that instead. I think these wee sections in between I kind of made a mashup of hers and added some extra rows in and things. Yeah, so then went back to the original pattern for this bit, and then when it came to the border, as I said, for the centre section, it was just a little bit too fussy for my liking, and when I'd found the Travelling Diamonds section, I'd realised that she actually had done a moss stitch border, which I think is called seed stitch in the US, possibly other places too. And I really liked that, but I hadn't done it. You know, I'd started here. So I ended up picking up stitches, working a seed stitch. I'm speaking different language now. Working the moss stitch section and doing a few rows of stocking stitch as well. And what I did was I did increases, make ones at the edges every second row to get like a tapered out bit. And then I had to do that on both sides as well. And thankfully at the top I could just work it without having to pick anything up. And then I decided to work an I-cord edging, applied I-cord edging or bind off. So I did a 5-stitch I-cord cast off. The yarn I used was Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran in the colourway Lime, and I knit on a 5mm needle, and then I used a 6mm for the I-cord bind off so that it didn't go too tight. Yeah, so I think it's lovely. Let me pop it up, see a bit more of it there. So it's a good size, it's not too big, it's maybe too big for pram, but it might do doubled up. So yes, those are my finished objects this week, which actually weren't finished this week. This one still had ends, and I had to sew up these corners using mattress stitch and sew in all the ends and block it, so that still had that to do. Thankfully I've been a bit better organised with these two, so they were knit and they were blocked, but they still had buttons to sew on. So in typical Ely fashion, I had left all the bits I didn't want to do to the last minutes, but I'm sure everyone else does the same. So yes, those are my finished objects. Let's go on to works in progress. Don't have a lot to tell you because it's actually only a week since I last recorded. I have not cast anything else new on. I've still been working away on the gift knit that I can't show you at the moment, and the only other thing is my I've forgotten what it's called, Rothe Marcus cowl. So it has grown a bit. I better turn it the right way round. I forgot to tell you in the last episode that this is worked in brioche. So it's a brioche tuck stitch. Which is blowing out because of the light. But yeah, these are worked mostly knitting, so you brioche knit, and these are worked with brioche pearls, and you swap over the yarn over yarn, so that's why this is predominantly the contrast colour and this is predominantly the main colour. So I think last time I was about there, so I managed to get another 2, maybe 3 inches out of what I had left, which is more than I thought. Did this the stocking stitch section, I think I added an extra couple of rows as well, on top of what the pattern called for, and now I'm on to this section here, which is growing quite quickly. It's very meditative and I'm enjoying it. There's not much more to tell you about it. It's going to be a bit of a long-term project, I think. I definitely could do with casting on something that requires a little bit more brain power, because I've got this one which is just, at the moment, purl, slip, yarn over, purl. You know, it's very repetitive. And then the other project I'm knitting at the moment is on the body. It's a jumper. So it's in the kind of stocking stitch round and round and round stage. So I could do with something that has a little bit more interest. So watch this space. So lastly, I just wanted to say a great big thank you to everybody who's watched, and all those lovely people who have commented and given me thumbs up and subscribed, and to those people who have shared my newest knitty venture on social media. And the biggest thank yous probably go to my preview group. I had a group of half a dozen or so lovely ladies who had a look and gave me feedback and helped me kind of make adjustments to the sound quality, which wasn't the best and I thought I couldn't fix, but thankfully some extra footering about, which is a Scottish word for fiddling around, meant that I managed to kind of get over not having a microphone, which I still don't have because the one that I ordered doesn't work. But hopefully I've solved the problem now and can adjust the volume so that you lovely people can hear it without having to put your devices up to the maximum. I'm not going to name drop the ladies in my preview group because I haven't gotten their consent to share that, but just to say that they're a wonderful, lovely group, and I met them a couple of years ago now at a knitting retreat in Northern Ireland, and we've been in touch a lot since, especially once the pandemic hit and one of our group set up an Instagram chat group, and it's been wonderful to keep in touch. Yeah, so thanks ladies. So that's all I had to share today. I think it's possibly a bit shorter than the last one, but next time I'll leave it longer between recording and actually have some works in progress and things to show you, and maybe some future plans if I've cast on anything new. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me and for your words of encouragement. If you like what you're seeing, do give me a thumbs up and comment and subscribe and all those things that people normally ask you to do. And I'm very much looking forward to spending some time with you next time. Take care. Bye.